Hello, and welcome to Teams in Financial Services Digital Skilling Session. My name is John Farmer. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for Teams in Financial Services.
Hey there, I'm Faraz Karmali. I'm a Principal PM Manager on Teams for Financial Services, and I'm looking forward to working through the session with all of you, and I'm going to hand it back to John.
Okay, over the course of the next 25 minutes or so, we'd like to walk you through a few key areas of Teams for Financial Services. First, team scenarios for financial services. 2, bookings and remote sales scenario. 3, Teams as a platform for financial services. And lastly, one of our new features, approvals. First, let's start by framing the business challenges and opportunities facing banks, firms, and insurers today. These factors are all converging, and Teams provides some relief in the form of connecting stakeholders, both internal and external, via calling, meetings, devices, collaboration, and business process. Today, firms are facing massive pressure from a low interest rate environment, disruption from non-traditional players that are in the market, as well as an unsustainably high cost to income ratio. Together, we believe that we can help to alleviate some of the challenges with this, as well as be able to adopt new areas that will help to take advantage of opportunities. First, many of you already are familiar with Teams and the Power Platform in ways that can assist financial services firms. But beyond the standard capabilities that Teams provides, for instance, calling and collaboration, here is a sampling of some key use cases where we see customers and partners driving organizational and personal productivity gains. First, banking. Many banks today are using Teams for remote sales and service for complex consumer transactions. For instance, with video calling for refinancing, loan deferrals, and other areas. In the capital markets vertical, we see many times where firms are using Teams to do remote advisory and wealth planning services for their customers. And last but not least, within insurance, we see many firms using Teams and the Power Platform to help automate claims processing and collaborate on exceptions. However, we're taking it a step forward by building out-of-the-box banking templates for 2 areas requested by our customers. First, bank branch collaboration, and secondly, global crisis and event collaboration. Let's talk about bank branch collaboration for just 1 minute. In different retail branch settings, employees have a real need to ask for help from colleagues or others, managers for instance, or to trade shifts with other employees. We pre-built this template available to all Teams customers to help those bank branch employees facilitate an easy collaboration environment. We've pre-built certain channels, but certainly you can add others into that. For instance, shifts as an application to trade shifts between different employees. Another area I'd like to highlight in our innovation agenda is lists. Lists is one capability that many banks, insurers, and financial services firms can use to track loans, potential trades, or any other item that needs to be tracked. We built Teams with financial services compliance and security in mind. Built on top of the Microsoft Cloud, we provide all of the key capabilities for security and compliance right into the platform. For instance, archiving, legal hold, and e-discovery for those situations that require firms to go back into information and communications, whether for litigation matters or regulatory inquiries. Number 2, audit logs, so you can easily see who's made changes to what and when. Third, data loss prevention. Not only do we include capabilities directly from within the Microsoft stack, but also the ability to integrate with key third-party ISVs to prevent data loss, whether that's intentional and malicious, or whether it's accidental or inadvertent. And lastly, for those highly regulated environments where employees cannot speak or communicate with others in their firm in a different department, we provide ethical barriers, otherwise known as information barriers, so that firms can easily take advantage of teams across the entire enterprise. Please bear in mind, some of these capabilities require Microsoft 365 E5 licensing in order to utilize the capabilities. We're very proud of many of the customers that we've been able to work with in financial services with Teams. These organizations are using Teams to solve some of the key problems today, changing the workplace, driving productivity gains, and helping to solve key business problems today. Let me give you one for instance. As many of you may be familiar, ABN AMRO is one of the world's larger banks headquartered in the Netherlands. ABN AMRO is using Teams to not only book appointments, but also to execute video calls with mortgage advisors. And now, throughout the bank, they're using Teams to improve omni-channel client communications and service. Please read more about it on customers.microsoft.com. So how do many of these large firms use different technologies to manage the juggernaut and difficulty of scheduling multiple different individuals, customers, externally to visit a bank branch or to schedule a video call? With all the different types of appointments that are necessary, this becomes quite a difficult endeavor. Enter Microsoft Bookings. With Bookings, you get an easy web-based booking calendar. It integrates directly with Outlook. It provides automated notification emails to that customer with a one-click join experience for those customers without requiring them to use the same technology. It helps firms to easily conduct virtual appointments using Teams and to manage that day-to-day booking within Teams. And it also provides the flexibility to create different types of appointments, whether that be for financial advice, for a retail account opening, or anything in between. Now, let me show you through one particular scenario how Bookings and Teams could be used for a remote advisory scenario.
The Bookings app in Microsoft Teams is a powerful tool that enables remote sales and service for financial services organizations. It allows firms to easily conduct secure virtual consultations, enabling service providers like bank relationship managers, financial advisors, and claims adjusters, just to name a few, to serve customers with increased convenience and immediacy. With the Bookings app in Teams, schedulers can see multiple service providers' Outlook calendars, so it's easy to create appointments and manage complex scheduling demands. Service providers can also schedule their own appointments from the Bookings app. Use the drop-down menu to select the appointment type. Client information, internal notes, and links to documents or CRM systems can be included as needed in the booking. You can take advantage of additional capabilities in Microsoft Bookings, such as further customizing appointment types with buffer times and custom fields. You can even create a booking page where customers can see available appointment times and schedule their own booking. Customized appointment confirmations and reminders are automatically sent to the client while maintaining the privacy of the sender's email address. Clients can easily join their virtual consultation via a web browser with a single click without needing to log in or install software. Service providers can make use of the great meeting features in Microsoft Teams, including high-quality video and audio, custom backgrounds, and meeting recording with transcription. When meeting with the client, service providers can easily share information from their screen and request electronic signatures on documents, allowing them to close the deal remotely. The Bookings app in Teams empowers financial services organizations to deliver remote sales and service while providing the enterprise-grade security and compliance they need. With these tools, firms can deliver faster, safer, and more convenient customer experiences than ever before.
So just a quick overview of what we're going to talk about now when it comes to Teams as a platform. And the reason why this is really important is we see Teams as a workplace OS. And the way to think about Teams over here is at the bottom, you have the core platform. where, as John was mentioning earlier, you can think about the secure and compliant Microsoft 365 stack. That's where all the communication collaboration is built on top of. The next layer on top of Teams is the communication layer. That's where you think about messaging, calling, video, chat, all that comes out of the box within Teams. Now, the next part is the most interesting one, which is the extensibility layer. This is what we refer to as a Microsoft graph, but what I'm also going to show you is the building blocks that we also have available today. So the way to think about it is once we take the core platform, communication extensibility, on top of it, when you stitch it all together, you'll have a customization layer. This is where all of our first-party workloads, our third-party workloads, all of our workflow orchestration layer will all come together to create workflows and solutions for your scenarios. So now I'm going to go into the next slide to show you a quick overview of what we refer to as our building blocks. Now, what I mean by this is if you look at the bottom, it's the same capabilities I was showing you earlier. But as you move up the stack now, there are different particular areas that have different feature segments I'm going to go through. So some examples is we know the frontline worker or the first-line worker audience is pretty broad. And we built specific capabilities to help those scenarios. So for example, we have a very friendly mobile UX. We have the shifts capability that John was talking about earlier. We have the ability to aggregate all tasks from many different sources into one hub. And a lot more scenarios I'm going to walk through next. So one of the cool scenarios we're going to talk about now is priority notifications. Now, the scenario from this actually came from the context of healthcare, where the idea was, hey, how can we, figure out to remove more devices from that doctors were already carrying? What I mean by that is today, doctors carry on average like 5 devices, and the pager was one of them. And all the pager did was it actually buzzed you every 20 seconds until you acknowledge that this thing is important. So when we looked across, our building blocks, we said, oh, this is a pretty common building block we should build because also in financial services, a similar event could need your attention right away. So what's happening over here is there's a relationship manager who is, looking at a private banking wealth advisor. Immediately the market has dropped 5%. An affluent individual wants to sell his position in his particular stock that he has. So now what happens is the manager goes and sends off an urgent notification. And immediately what happens is the priority notification building block allows you to pretty much call, text, SMS, and buzz the person over and over and over again until they acknowledge the fact that this is important and they should go to the next thing. So that's a pretty cool building block that we think is really important that you can use in your workflows. The next one that I'm going to talk about is tag messaging. This one is pretty important too. And the reason why is a lot of times inside Teams, you want to focus on getting the right message to the right people at the right time. And the idea here is if I'm working on a typical loan, I have a back office team. And this back office team a lot of time works on a shift. So they're going to be coming in and out. You don't necessarily know who owns the puck basically. So what's happening over here is tag messaging allows you to create a tag. And right away, I can go ahead and create a new tag called back office. So I'm going to go ahead and create it. This can be programmatically created as well. So it can be done via an API. I can go ahead and mention all the relevant people that are there. And now when I'm messaging and I want to get a status update from whomever is in the back office tag, I can go ahead and just say @back office, what's the status on this customer's loan? They've been asking for a long time. And now everyone who is in the back office tag at that particular time will go ahead and get the notification right away. And they can go ahead and respond and give you the right information. So you can almost think of this like distribution list for Teams, but they can auto update dynamically, which is pretty cool. Now, I just showed you 2 examples of cool messaging scenarios that are in here, but the scale of what we have is actually quite a bit because we showed you priority notifications. There's also an interesting way to do image annotations, which is now if I wanted to get something fixed, like for example, my ATM machine is broken and I wanted to send this to a contractor to go get replaced. Today, if I were to go take a picture, that picture goes onto my physical device, which breaks the compliance boundary. So now I can go ahead and grab that picture, annotate on top of it, and I can be trusted in the fact that that image is stored in the cloud to be fully compliant. Tag messaging is what I showed you earlier. The next thing is federated messaging, which is a great capability that allows you to talk with other organizations in a secure manner. Then there's a bunch more capabilities that we talked about earlier around shifts and message escalation and auto-new discovery. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is this thing called approvals. We just launched this at Ignite, and it's actually one of my favorite features. And I'm going to give you a quick story of how we kind of got here. So we went around the world, me, John, and a bunch of other of our colleagues, and we found out that every org that we spent time with had this huge pain point where they had around 4 to 6 approval systems that were in place today. Stuff like email, ServiceNow, SAP SuccessFactors, or whatever structured process they'd already created. But then there's also this huge unmet need for unstructured approvals. What I mean by that is the stuff that happens in chat, email, or face-to-face. The classic example I heard often was, hey, can I give this customer a discount? That kind of approval was very unstructured, informal, and a lot of time it would get lost. And because it would get lost, you wouldn't get approval, things would get lost for days. There's no status tracking, nobody knows what's going on. So what we wanted to do was create basically a hub that allows you to stitch together all those structured approvals and those informal approvals into one hub that is in the workplace OS for us, which is Teams. So we've made an approvals hub where our promise is to actually allow you to be that one place to create, manage, share, and act on all of your approvals for both structured and unstructured approvals. We're really excited about this feature because it's going to be a first-class app. It's going to be a mobile-driven app as well. So wherever you are, no matter what you're doing, you'll always get the approvals right on time, and you can save time and effort to go improve your approval processes. Now, the way to think about approvals for us is we think about them in a couple different ways that are really important to understand where our strategy is going with these. Approvals should be as easy as sending a chat message. This is pretty important because this way it'll capture that informal process I was talking to you about earlier. Approvals are also going to be a core construct across all of Microsoft. So we are going to weave in approvals through Word, Excel, PowerPoint, SharePoint, Dynamics, and every asset we have, approval is going to be a first-class citizen. Every approval is unique, whether it's an expense report or a trade workflow or a loan proposal. All of those are going to have a customizable workflow. So we are going to integrate them to Power Automate to allow users to actually customize them end-to-end however they see fit. Approvals can also attach themselves to business objects. This is actually super critical because if I'm working on a loan proposal, I want that approval to be attached to that loan. That way I know it is about this particular thing and not something that's unrelated. And finally, context is key. We want to keep users in their flow. This is really important because we don't want people to jump around and lose context because that causes attention issues, and we want to make sure that we're keeping them right in the flow and keep them going.
From project proposals to client agreements, you need these requests approved. Approvals in Microsoft Teams is your hub to request, view, and manage all your approvals, including ones from SharePoint, Power Automate, Microsoft Dynamics 365, and more. In Teams, go to Approvals and select New Approval Request. Add details, then send it out. Approvers can sign off on a request right from a chat. Whether you need a client discount, an expense report, or a vacation request approved, manage it all with Approvals in Teams.
All right, so we showed you a bunch of awesome capabilities that are coming with approvals that's available and rolling out soon. Now, the next thing when you think about approvals is what you saw was more of a click to accept approval, but a lot of times you may need a signature, and especially in today's day and age, an e-signature is very prevalent for your workflows. So what we've also done is we've partnered with major signature providers such as Adobe to go ahead and integrate e-signature directly into Teams. And this is awesome because now we can actually execute the entire workflow end to end without ever having to leave Teams where all your files and documents and workflows are. So in this scenario, I click on approvals as I did before, and you'll start to see how there's e-sign as an option. I go ahead and click Adobe as my provider. I put in some details like I want to review and sign, and I can choose directly from the Adobe templates which signature I want to get done. Then I put in an email of whomever I want to send it to, and I go ahead and hit send. Just like that, now from the channel, I've sent off this request. Now the user goes in and gets the approval from Adobe. They go ahead and sign it directly in there. And once they sign, the approval card in Teams for that channel is updated in line. You'll start to see that signed PDF is right there, along with the full audit trail. I can also see all these approvals in the Approvals app right there in one context as I talked about earlier. All right, so now I'm going to talk to you about how all the building blocks that we just showed you come together to create an end-to-end workflow. So one of the workflows that we're going to talk about is crisis management. This is a pretty common workflow. We hope it isn't, but a lot of times crises occur in many different stages, whether it's a small crisis or something large like a major financial crisis. So one of the things that we should think about here is pretend I am, Will over here, and I'm in a group chat with a few folks over here. What's happening is I've immediately noticed that there's been some money laundering activity that's been going on, and I think that we should get together and get organized to sort this issue out, this crisis basically. So what I do immediately in this chat now is I send that urgent notification, which is the building block I showed you earlier. So right away I send that notification and I go ahead and say that, hey team, there's been some suspicious money laundering activity. We should go get organized and let's get this going. So now what happens is my team is alerted. Everyone gets a notification right away, just like that buzzer that I was talking to you about earlier. And we go ahead and spin up a crisis response team. Now, this is also another building block that we just released. It's called Teams Templates. And the way this works is it allows you to create these scaffolding and these structure for where if something happens over and over again, you can set up the right set of teams and channels and files all available with the right scaffolding to where you click this and it's an immediate playbook to get to the next step. So now in this case, I've noticed that an unauthorized sales activity has occurred. So I click on it. And once I click on it, what happens is you can see now that unauthorized sales activity team has been created in the top left-hand corner. It has the ability to look at all the different channels that are already there. So you can see there's an incidents channel, there's an IT channel where there's a meeting going on right now. There's also a legal channel for our legal team that's dealing with corporate PR. And then there's the exec management channel. Notice the lock next to it. That's a private channel, which means our execs can communicate in confidence, knowing that their communication is secure. Now what's happening over here is in the screen, what you're seeing is right away, there is a bot that has gone ahead and posted that, hey, something has gone on with this particular event. So we have a fraud monitoring system that is actually being triggered through Power Automate to go ahead and post a card directly into the channel for incidents. So now anyone who is following this channel will get the notification right away that, hey, this transaction has some suspicious activity, maybe we should go look at it. Now, the other thing that's really interesting over here is these are role-based cards. What that basically means is whoever has actions or the ability or the permissions to take an action on this will see the relevant buttons. Everyone else who doesn't have the relevant permissions won't see that information. So because I am an incident manager, I can hit collaborate on the incident. So I'm going to go ahead and click that button. And once I click on it, because I have the permission for it, it goes ahead and goes into a tab that you see over here. And this tab over here is really interesting because now it is a one-stop shop to get everyone on the same page about what is going on and who is affected by this particular fraud. So what you'll start to see is you'll see a couple of different Power BI tiles that are over here. You'll start to see a list of different events that are showing up here. And right away, everyone on the team can be in the know of who else is affected and what's going on. Now, let's say that there is a problem with this second line item, which is highlighted in red. I want to go ahead and chat about it because typically if something is an issue, I want to deal with my colleagues. So right away from that same canvas, I can start chatting about that particular transaction that is an issue. On the right side, you'll start to see a chat thread that's already related to that particular record. We can start to share relevant documents, postmortems, etc., and schedule a meeting to get to the next steps. Now that I've got everything together, I know what the impact is like, I know all the assessment that has been made, I can go ahead and work with my PR team to create an approval, which is what I just showed you earlier as well. So what you can see is in the incidents channel, we've now determined that, hey, the impact is so and so, and we now need to reach out to our customers with a PR approved statement to say, hey, this is what has happened with this particular fraud activity. Your account has hopefully not been affected, and they can go ahead and review and approve the document, approve the request, and now the PR team is ready to go ahead and send this out to customers. So this is a quick overview of how all the different Lego blocks come together to stitch this. So in this particular scenario, I went ahead and used team templates, I used urgent notifications, I used approvals, I used Power Apps, I used common data service, I used tags and approvals. Right? So many different things came together to create this end-to-end workflow, which is why we think Teams as a platform is a great story, and it's going to be super powerful for all of your scenarios to improve the workplace collaboration that we're going after. All right, so that finishes up my session. I'm going to go ahead and hand off to John to wrap up, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for attending and watching our Teams and FSI session. Please stay tuned throughout the year for exciting new announcements.